Hi there, my name is Kay Moon, and I am a twin flame channel and Western astrologer. And this is a reading or a recording about the Leo full moon for 2020 on February 9th, 2020 at 2:33 a.m. Eastern Time. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, please check a time zone converter for your local time zone. Before we get into this full moon, a lot of you have emailed asking about February readings, and I just wanted to say that those are sold out for the month, and the March calendar is not open just yet. So I've set up a way for us to stay in touch and for you to get your questions answered before the March calendar opens. I will be doing live mini readings here on the live mini reading channel, K Moon Live. If you subscribe to that, I will be doing live mini readings on later today, actually, Friday the 7th of February at 3 o'clock Eastern, and then Wednesday the 12th at 4 o'clock Eastern. Those live mini readings tend to go, when I've done them before, they're about 2 to 4 hours-ish. Depending upon my energy. But if you subscribe, you hit the notification bell, you'll be the first to know when the live mini readings happen. You can also subscribe to my private list. There will be a link for that below this video in the description box. And if you subscribe to my private list, if I happen to go live at some other time, you'll also be the first to know, in addition to being the first to know when the March calendar opens if you'd like to schedule. This Leo full moon completes a cycle that began at the Lion's Gate last year in August when we had the Leo new moon. This particular full moon is rife and heavy with ending energies for a lot of reasons, specifically ending energies in our partnerships. And what's going on here is a few different aspects. The major ones really kind of involving some of the asteroids in the zodiac. For those of you who don't read asteroids, know that I do. As an astrologer, I feel like they play a major part in the storyline of the things going on in the sky. So we've got a little bit of a conundrum here, because this particular Leo full moon, as I said in the general video, is really all about ending patterns of self-sabotage and ending patterns of self-compromise, being complicit to our own demise. We are no longer doing that after this full moon. This full moon is revealing to all of us the ways in which we have, uh, enslaved ourselves, put ourselves below other people, allowed other people to sit on a throne in our life or other circumstances to be more important than our own well-being. And much of this is going on in our partnerships with institutions, in the world of work and in the world of business. But some of you are going to find that this is also going on in your twin flame connections, where under the light of this full moon, we are being asked to retake our throne, take our crown, and stand for what it is we know we truly want, what we know the relationship can truly be, where we understand things truly need to go, not just in our connection, but also in our lives. It's about really saying, okay, anything that has compromised the throne now needs to stop. So much of this is represented in part, as I said, by this moon energy here in Leo that's getting a light shown on it by the sun in Aquarius. Aquarius tends to represent the people and the revolution, the advancement, the technology, the quantum leap forward, that stroke of divine insight that comes down through lightning as it hits the earth and then creates something new. We've also got that moon shining up to, or that sun shining up to and across from the full moon in Leo, Leo being the sign of the king, the sign of royalty, the leader of the pack. It's all about leadership and really stepping up to the plate and standing up for what we know in our hearts is right. What's interesting about the sign of Leo is that Leo really leads from the heart. Leo's work is all about understanding the true depth of who we are and what we need and what we want in our heart chakra, and where it is things need to go from the heart. And this full moon really challenges that, because under the light of this full moon, the most significant challenging configuration here, and there's a couple of them I'll point out. We've got partnership asteroid Juno in the sign of partnership, now retrograde, going retrograde just within the 24 hours before this full moon. We've got Eris here in Aries, directly across, Eris representing spite, disharmony, chaos. And then we've got Pluto sitting and creating a T-square here to those two. And Pluto tends to represent the endings. Pluto is all about that death point, that alchemy point that sits in between the life and the afterlife, sits in between the caterpillar and the butterfly, sits in between lead and gold. Pluto is the energy of transformation, but transformation is not possible without what was dying, so that what will be can be born. With that T-squares bring about tension. Squares in general bring about tension. 90-degree angles are all about tension. The awesome thing about tension is they bring forward the motivation. As my astrology teacher, Nadia Shah, says, they bring forward motivation to change, the motivation we need to take a new step, take a new path. And with Pluto in the mix and this Juno going retrograde, in the sign of partnership and balance, Pluto going direct, but, being about endings in the sign of 3D world, physical manifestation, work and work ethic. This is about no longer putting ourselves in the position of participating in our own demise. It's about ending those cycles of compromise that no longer allow us to be fully balanced in our connections. The tricky part is here. It's this Eris, right? So Eris, you look at the mythology of her, and she really is, that strife, that discord energy, that disharmony. Her work is truly, her Eris best comes forward when Eris has been disenfranchised, disinvited, been excluded and ostracized. That's when you really start to see Eris in the mythology play up the chaos. This is, the woman who's just been put upon for too long and then snaps, throws the bomb in the room, walks away from the blazing building. That's Eris, that energy. And with partnership asteroid going retrograde, and as I read for twin flames, this represents the divine feminine. Pluto here forming that T-square, bringing a lot of tension to the circumstance. It's going to be exceptionally easy under the light of this full moon to go from complete faith in your twin flame connection to 180 degrees in the other direction. Complete doubt, complete hopelessness, complete it wasn't meant to be. Those kinds of swings of a 180 degree opposite point of view are par for the course with a T-square. And note that this T-square is marking the entire retrograde cycle of Juno, which lasts through the end of May. So the problem with that, though, is that neither extreme is what's true or what's real. Extremes are not the direct representation of what's at the heart of the matter. And Libra, being the sign of balance, is going to allow us to explore the extreme, but the trick is to know that the extreme is not the truth. The trick is to understand that extremes represent polars that allow us to see what lies at the heart of the matter in the middle. And so if you found yourself in this, kind of going from one extreme to the other, almost as if overnight between November and now in your twin flame connection, the trick is not to get caught up in trying to make decisions, because this retrograde is a period of exploration, not a period of finality or truth, despite the fact that it feels that way. This is a period of exploration. This is a period of, okay, we've explored what it's like to live at one extreme already. And that may have come with certain patterns of self-sabotage. Now, for some of you, this is going to be about health. Some of you is going to be about money. Some of you is going to be about home and family and your children or your parents. For others of you, this is going to be, just about your emotional frame of mind and the way you're orienting yourself to your connection. The way to understand where this is going to play out for you, we would need to do a reading for that. Like I said, the way to get that done with me during this period of time, sign up for the mini reading channel, the live reading channel, K Moon Live. I'll be going live later on today. I'll also be live next week on Wednesday, February 12th at 4 o'clock Eastern. That way you'll be able to ask, okay, what balance am I being invited to explore here, so that I don't end up in a place of throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And that's really the kind of that would be indulging another pattern of self-sabotage in the connection, is throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Okay, so what we're being asked to look at here is how we've participated in our compromise and move on from that, end that pattern, and explore coming back into ourselves. Like I said, not a period of time for big decisions, just a period of time for exploring moment to moment, day by day. How do I feel today? For those of you who are twin flames in union or are approaching union states, this may be a period of time where the self-sabotage that has kept the two of you separated or on different pages in union, some of those patterns start to rear their heads so that you can see them and end them, so you can merge more fully in your connection. More fully, either getting on the same financial page, getting on the same emotional page, getting on the same physical page, either moving in together or recognizing living together doesn't work for us. We need to live apart and remain in union in order for this union to stabilize. All of that is up for discussion and reevaluation as Juno goes retrograde between now and the end of May. Exploration is the name of the game. And I cover this very deeply in the Divine Feminine 2020 Channeled Messages video, where I talk about what goes on over the course of the 2020 journey for the Divine Feminine. All of our feminine energies are impacted by this Juno retrograde, and it's significant. It's really significant because this is the first time in more than a year where the Divine Feminine's asteroid has slowed down, taken a beat, and moved backwards to explore what's going on inside, as opposed to being a light for the outer world. This is her first time to do that, and she's doing that very significantly in an air sign, which is about thought and mind. So this is about cleaning up those patterns in the mind that gave way to those physical 3D world behaviors, Capricorn, that compromised us and took us off of our throne. And this happens, this is par for the course for all divine feminines and divine masculines is looking at, okay, where have I been party to my own issues? Where have I been at the root of my issues? And like I said, the trick is just don't get caught up in the Eris energy here that wants to throw the baby out with the bathwater, cut off your nose to spite your face. Because that energy is there, but the purpose of that energy, the reason we feel that is because it's shining a light on where we ourselves, this is the sign of Aries, where our self has been compromised. That's the point of it, is to illuminate for us where we've taken a hit, not to get the retaliation or the revenge, but to honor, oh, I took a hit here and I can't keep taking that hit at this time. And you can pull from this Juno energy to say, oh, I see it now. How can I be a better partner to myself at this time? Aries and Libra are all about self and other. And with the T square, the unevolved thing to do is to just retaliate and run. The evolved thing to do is to notice how we've been party to our compromise and change. Okay? So a couple of other interesting energies here under the light of this full moon that I want to point out for those of you who identify as divine feminine in your connection. Something else interesting is going on here. Where is it? Okay, so leading up to this full moon, Mars here at the 25th degree of Sagittarius has been in a sextile to Juno and in a sextiling sign. And so I would say in the last 30 days or so, you may have noticed that somebody new has come in. Some other masculine energy has arrived. That's doing a couple of things. His function is to show you the truth. That's Sagittarius, truth, higher ideals. His function is to show you the truth of how things are meant to go, how you're meant to be treated, what you're meant to be experiencing. And for some of you, this may not even be a person. This may be a rise of your own masculine energy going, oh, no, 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 no. It's time for me to merge with the divine masculine in myself and stand for myself in this or that area of my life and in this or that way in my connection. But for some of you, this is an actual human who has shown up to kind of, just show you, like, here's some ways you could probably set yourself free from needing to, continue to treat yourself or be treated the way you've allowed yourself to be treated, because that's not going to work anymore. You've probably known that since November, when the partnership asteroid arrived here in the sign of balance. But now you've got a masculine energy, either internal or external, who is now saying, and I will co-sign and escort you out of the building of self-sabotage. So that's really positive. That's a really good thing to be happening right now, because, for some, there has been this pattern of self-sabotage going on for so long, that whatever intention you set at the Lion's Gate, between now and that point, that chunk of time showed you and revealed it to you, and that cycle was the first step of getting out of it. That Lion's Gate to now, 6 months, this is the beginning of the ending, where it's the ending point of getting out of that self-sabotage. We've also got, Juno here trine the sun. So here's Juno at 21 degrees Libra, And we've also got, the sun here at 20 degrees Aquarius, both in air signs. So this is an illumination of mind. It's also an illumination around our communication. Be watchful of your thoughts, because when you've got, this much energy here in mind signs, air and communication signs, there is a real possibility that you can conjure things that you may not necessarily want if you are not careful. Be watchful with your words, fellow creators, fellow divines. Be mindful with your mind and where you allow it to rest and what you expose it to during this time. So we've also got, we talked about that. We've also got, okay. So we've got Neptune here. There's an inconjunct between Juno and Neptune, the partnership asteroid and Neptune here. This inconjunct, Neptune and Pisces being direct is, it's a very spiritual energy. It can allow us to fall into illusion when it goes retrograde, for sure. And certainly we can fall into illusion because, Pisces and Neptune, they're both unseen world, subconscious mind, blind spot energy. But with the inconjunct here from Juno to Neptune, we're starting to become awake to what we can't, affirmation ourselves through, what we can't law of attraction ourselves through, what we can't spiritually bypass in the 3D world in order to get to a result. This is the energy of showing us not necessarily what's stuck, but what's so. This is lights are on and spiritually awake to, this is the reality of my connection at this moment. This is the reality, not just my connection to my twin, but all of my connections. You may be looking at your mom or your dad or your child or your ex or your spouse or, your student's teacher, all of our one-to-one connections. This is the energy of becoming keenly aware of, okay, that's how that person is. They're not changing right now. And no amount of me scripting or law of attracting or chanting or anything that they got to change them. I got to change me. There's that reality, that split, that kind of like, oh, okay, got it. I can't control them recognition upon us. In terms of the way we are spiritually attuned and surrendering to what's so in our connections. Not better than what it is, not worse than what it is, but spiritually attuned to exactly what it is. So that's a really exciting thing, because this again is showing us that we no longer have the blinders on. This, the mind clicked into place, the heart clicked into place, the spirit clicked into the same place, and now the body is going to follow. The 3D world is going to follow. So this is really, about alignment with what's actually happening in our world, so that we're no longer, trying to fake our way into what we want to be by ignoring what's so. So we talked about the Eris energy. And so the last energy I'm going to talk about here is, there's a couple of yods here in the chart, and they're loose, granted. If you're an astrologer, you may not find these a yod. Many Western astrologers do not work with the asteroids and trans-Neptunian objects. I do. So I'm going to talk about them. We've got, this first very loose yod here, and yods are also known as the finger of God. They are aspects and energies of tension, but the tension within the yod points to a very particular and singular solution in that yod. And so they illuminate a problem, a stuck point, But once you know what the finger of God is pointing to, it's showing you, and here's the way out of that maze. Okay? So there's two in this chart. The first one is a yod to the moon. And so this yod to the moon, again, as I said, it's loose. We've got Neptune in conjunct the moon here in Pisces. And then the other aspect here is Vesta. Where is she? Where is she? Where is she? In conjunct in Taurus. Sorry, wrong one. Okay. This is the yod to Juno, not the yod to the moon. Okay, so let me clear these so I can show this to you correctly. So here's Neptune, here's Vesta, here's Juno. These two are sextile, but they are also in conjunct to Juno, who, as I said, in the last 24 hours before this full moon just went retrograde. So there's a definitive completion and an ending here of a forward movement and momentum in our feminine energies, of our capacity to receive certain things. There's a little bit of a, I'm done receiving that. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to examine some stuff for myself. I'll look at some other stuff. And so, what's interesting about this is that the tension aspects are, like I said, the spirituality piece here, in our feminine energies. We're awake to the way we can't fake through on this. We can't spiritual bypass on this anymore, and what's going on in our one-to-one connections. And we're also awake to the ways that our dedication, because that's Vesta. Vesta is dedication, it's commitment, it's a kind of vow. Vesta is a vow to keep a certain fire within ourselves going. It's service to ourselves and our inner light when it's in Taurus in this way. And so, Vesta in conjunct Juno in this way is showing us like, yeah, my inner light has kind of dimmed as a result of the ways I have received some things that I don't need to receive anymore, that I can let go. That some things I have been open to that I don't need to be open to anymore because the cost is too high. Right? And so with, like I said, for some of you, this is going to be about health stuff where you're just kind of recognizing, yeah, I've not been eating the right things. I've not been sleeping the right way. I've not been exercising the way I need to, meditating the way I need to. I have been party to my own issues. Some of you, this is going to be about finance, where you're like, I've not been saving the way I need to save. I've not been, making what I need to make. I have not been investing the way I need to invest or spending the way I need to spend. There's a real kind of, aha, I have sabotaged myself and I will no longer do this. And so Juno goes retrograde here and she's like, okay, let me go back to the drawing board. And she goes within and she's like, okay, I know what I need to do. I'm going to apply for a new job. I'm going to get on this new diet. I'm going to, in my twin connection, I'm going to double down on better communication, or I'm going to step out of communicating the way I used to communicate because that's no longer working. It's cost me too much. So there's a lot of that recognition now in our connections with both with ourselves and with others. And so the Juno energy, the way out, as I was saying, when you have a yod, is to focus on the finger point, which is here. It's Juno, and the Juno and the yod is saying, how can I be a better partner first to me and then to another? How can I balance the scales here? Okay. Got to explore the other side of this because I've spent too long on one side. The second yod that's here in this chart also involves Neptune, and it was the first thing I talked about, yod to moon. And then it's this Pluto here in Capricorn. So this one is a little bit looser. You know, the degree difference between 17 degrees and 23 degrees is wide enough for some astrologers to be like, that's not a yod. But because these are outer planet energies, I find that they're still quite influential because they have such a big impact. So yod to moon here, Pluto, Neptune in the sextile. This is very much about being under no illusions about what's ending and needs to end. This is, like I said, this is spirit clicking into place, into alignment with what the mind has known, the body has shown, the 3D world has shown, what the heart has realized. This is spirit going, and now I will provide the motor, the impetus. Now I will provide the kind of motivation and the energy. I'll provide the gasoline so this car can go. And you can get back on your throne here, Moon and Leo. So moon really represents, you know, in traditional astrology, it represents a lot of our emotions. Moon also represents, you know, not just our emotions, but a lot of the women in our life, some of our femininity. Moon also can really represent, I guess our feelings. The way I have actually come to understand moon in my studies with astrology and in speaking with so many people about their experiences, moon tends to represent needs. And where moon sits illuminates our needs in our charts. And this full moon, moon is sitting in the sign of Leo. And so this is kind of, with all of this ending energy, all of this reevaluation energy, Moon in Leo is truly having a conversation here saying, I have gone as far as I could go. I have given up as much as I could give up. I have sacrificed as much of it I have sacrificed. There is literally nothing left for me to give. There's nothing else for me to do but just get back on my throne and move on, move forward. Just sit back on my throne. There's nothing left for me to do. I've done it all. I've done what I could do. I've given what I could give. I can't give the situation that was not working any more time, attention, energy, resource. I got to come back to me. I got to come home. And so, you know, this sextile energy here between Pluto and Neptune are going, yeah, go home, go home. That's going to be good. That's going to be really good. But the inconjuncts are, you know, in part saying, you know, the Pluto inconjunct moon is saying, you know, we can destroy everything but you. So that's not going to happen. And the Neptune energy is saying, what you need's not here today. Yeah, come back another day. So in the circumstance that, you know, is arising, you know, there's a real rock and a hard place kind of spiritual energy and rock and the hard place kind of physical 3D world energy. And so the only thing that's left for you to do is to come home and really look at some of your own, your heart energy, and just come home to yourself and nurture yourself and be the king to yourself or the queen to yourself, providing for the needs of your own kingdom, your own queendom. You know, in summary on this piece, you know, much of this is really happening and impacting the asteroid I read as the divine feminine. We all have feminine energies within us, male and female. I know many of you are like, but what about the DM? What's he doing? I'll tell you what he's doing. He's getting a reprieve real quick. He's getting a reprieve. Much of the planetary energies are not talking to Jupiter right now. Jupiter is the planet that I read as the divine masculine. They're not talking to Jupiter right now. The last big energy that Jupiter received was a conjunction with the South Node. And I spoke about that in the last new moon video in Aquarius. If you're curious about that, please listen to it because that energy is still in play. But Jupiter is getting a little bit of a reprieve and likely very much still dealing with that South Node conjunction. Definitely listen to that video so you can understand what's going on, because that's definitely still an active energy for many DMs. And actually, I want to just say real quick that Marie of Spiritual Baddie Tarot, she did a channeled message from the DM Collective to the Divine Feminine. And both that channeled message, she did, I guess, the day before yesterday. It's on her channel, Spiritual Baddie Tarot. That channeled message speaks to some of that energy that the DM is actually dealing with right now and what's happening right now. And that in tandem with last new moon's video, the Aquarius new moon video, will give you a lot of insight as to what's going on in the Divine Masculine Collective and the Divine Masculine energies at this point in time, because it's very much tied to this full moon. Aquarius and Leo, they're opposite signs, but the energies, they're working as a unit over the course of, the last 30 days and the next 30 days. So have a listen to Marie's message, have a listen to that last new moon message. But much of this full moon has nothing to do with them. It has to do with our feminine energies. This is a moment of a turning point for divine feminines, and for our feminine energies. It's a big turning point too. I mean, the big energy here, the only other thing I'll say about divine masculines is that there's a sextile here to Neptune, and that sextile is giving him a real sense of I can do it optimism, about making dreams real. And that's really the most significant energy here. It's a moment of reprieve and integration, as they're definitely still reeling after that South Node conjunction. You, as a divine masculine, you probably want to re-listen to that thing from last month, because that'll tell you what that was about. It was all about facing some of the karmas that show up. It's very much similar to this full moon. It's very much about facing some of the karmas that we need to face once we try to implement our truth into the physical and 3D world. Facing the ways in which we have blocked ourselves from having those things we want anyway in the first place. And there's this pregnant pause in the air, which all of us can probably feel, a little bit of waiting for the other shoe to drop. Because very soon Jupiter is going to conjunct here Pluto and then Saturn, and those are going to be big for all of our masculine energies. Those are going to be very significant moments of time. And those will happen in a couple of months over in April. So there's a pause here in the masculine energies before we move into some of the tests and the trials of Saturn and Pluto. But in closing, I'll just say that, this is really about creating emotional sovereignty in our partnerships and realizing that we don't need anyone to do anything for us to feel the way we want to feel or to get what we need in order to be whole and complete. It's not necessary. We don't need anyone to do anything for us to be whole and complete. It's not up to them for us to feel loved. That's up to us to feel loved. And it's not up for them for us to fulfill our needs in a relationship. That's up to us to fulfill our needs. And so this full moon is really kind of highlighting the fact that we don't have to destroy everything in order to feel powerful. We don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. All we have to do is remember who we are, direct reflections of the divine, created in the Creator's image. We don't need to give up on our dreams in order to get our needs met because someone else isn't participating. We can find other co-conspirators. We can become our own champions of our missions. This full moon is really highlighting that and saying where you've been where you've seen that certain partnerships and connections, either with yourself or with another, have not yielded what you need to yield in order to feel what you want to feel and have what you want to have. Rebuild. Let it go. do a new thing. So this is, with this, partnership asteroid turning retrograde, this really is about being in the balance. For many of us, it's a lot easier to move out of faith in our connection and flip into doubt, go 180 degrees in the other direction. I completely believe in my twin flame connection and what we're here to do. Going from that to a state of absolute, oh, we were never meant to be. I give up. I'm getting off the journey. I don't even know if that was even a twin. It's a lot easier to hang out in extremes than it is to hang out in the, you know what, I don't know what's going to happen next. And to stay there with an open heart. Again, full moon in Leo. Leo's about that heart chakra. It takes a very high level of spiritual attainment and spiritual maturity to hang out with an open heart. And I don't know, but I am going to go moment by moment with the truth of what's in my heart. I'm going to go moment by moment. And that's truly what this full moon is asking of this energy here in Libra, because they are in a sextile. Partnership asteroid and full moon, Leo and Libra, what they're saying here is it's going to take work to hang out in the balance, because sextiles take work. They're not trines. It's not, a trine is when the energy is easy and it just flows. A sextile is there's harmony, but you got to work for it. So to the degree that you are able to, like I said, it's very easy to wander off into fantasy of catastrophe. I should call that fantastrophe. I love a good portmanteau. Fantastrophe. Don't do it. Don't wander off there. Instead of getting caught up in that, it's going to be the worst now of whatever this energy is ending in your partnerships, either with yourself or with another. Now it's just going to be the worst. Don't wander down that path. Like I said, it's going to be easy to, but the thing that the Eris energy is really asking of all of us is to take a look at is simply, okay, where have I been compromised and how can I stop? Not to just go blow up the whole thing. That's not what it's asking you to do. This is a moment of taking a step back, reevaluation, not making all these major decisions to throw the whole thing out, but instead going, okay, how do I feel right now? A lot of twins come to me in, private session and they're like, well, is this going to happen? Is this, are we going to ever get together? Is she ever going to figure it out? Is she ever going to be awake? And what I'll say is that, and they ask, should I keep giving to this? I can catch it. They wander off, in their spare time into these never going to happen kind of storylines of whatever it is you want to have happen. Fill in the blank with your dreams. And they're just, the way to play it is, you know what? I don't know if it is or if it isn't. I don't know if I want to reach out or if I want to not. I know right this minute I don't want to reach out, but I might want to reach out tomorrow, but I'll leave tomorrow to tomorrow and see how I feel tomorrow. I know right this minute I don't really, want to get, hang out with my twin, or right this minute, I don't want, certain things, but I might tomorrow. I'll figure it out tomorrow how I feel tomorrow. But right now, I'm just going to be true to what's happening right now. And that's what's truly being asked, is to be present in the moment with your heart over the course of the retrograde. of Juno. Be present with what's in your heart minute by minute. Rather than asking yourself to be present in a more kind of ongoing, not present, but rather than make sweeping decisions, be present in what's so today. Okay? So I'll see you over on the mini reading channel. I'll just show that again so that you know how to find it. K Moon Live. I'll be going live later on today if you are meeting me on Friday, February 7th. And then again, I'll be live on Wednesday, the 12th at 4 o'clock Eastern. Yeah, I look forward to reading for you. And if you want to get on the list, just look below this video as soon as the March calendar opens. I do open it up to the list first. And whatever spaces are available, I open those up to the public. All right. Thank you so much. I look forward to how all this resonates for you in the comments below. Take great care and bye for now.